right, let's have a look at the menu on your pages. Now, I've just gone through to the standalone version of the Softly Does It homepage, and you can see here that we have used a drop-down menu just to try and make it, I guess, less obvious that there's all these other links. And the reason that we do that is because we do try as much as possible to follow the story brand framework, which encourages you not to have any links along the top, but to rather take people on a customer journey down the page and just give them one main pathway to follow. Now, I know as creators, it is very difficult to not put links along the top of your website, but because we don't want to give people too many distractions, okay, we just want them to stay on this homepage and take the main action that we're looking for them to take. I've tried to make it less conspicuous up here as a drop down. Now, if I do click on that menu icon, you can see there it's bringing up Store, My Library, and Blog. Now, I don't personally ever make use of the store, so I don't want that in my links. We could send people through to My Library. If they're a member, they'll be asked to log in. If they're not a member, they're not going to be able to get past that point. And then blog, if you don't have any blogs published just yet, you probably don't want the blog showing up in your main menu either. So what we need to do is go over to the navigation area of your account. And let me just see if I can find that over here. All right, so inside of the website area of your site, come down here to navigation, and you automatically get a main menu by default. Okay, now you can set up custom menus. They'll get useful later on. You might like to set up a custom menu to sit along the top of one of your course products, for example. Okay, but for right now, we're just worried about that main menu that is sitting at the top of our website. So you can see there that they've given us Store, My Library, and Blog. Now I am going to delete those. And you will get this little error message that says, are you sure you want to delete this link? This action cannot be undone. Now, it sounds scarier than it is. You can always put the store link back if you would like to. But for the time being, I don't have anything on my store, so I don't want people being able to get to it. Now, same goes for the blog. I haven't written any blogs as yet, so I am going to delete that one. And My Library, I could leave that there. If people click on My Library, I'll just show you what happens. Okay, it's going to take them through to that URL /library, and they'll be prompted to log in if they're not already logged in. Now, you could have it that that link only shows in the main menu if they're a logged in user, just to quickly get them back to their library. Okay, so we could check that box if we wanted to. The other thing, if you are just wanting to put like a login link at the top of your website, then over here, in addition to the menu, we've added a user block. Okay, now it's got the sort of this faceless avatar there right now. The reason that it's got a little circle avatar there at all is because I'm logged in as the admin. But if I wasn't logged in, this would just say login or whatever you want it to say. Then once somebody does log in, their own face will be there if they've uploaded their own picture inside of their profile settings. So I don't think I would put it in two places. I wouldn't have this sort of user button and also have My Library showing in the main menu, but up to you guys. So what we're going to do is I am going to delete My Library for now from here. Could put it back later if I wanted to. And what we're going to do is main menu, I am going to add what I would actually like to be showing in my menu links. Now, where possible, I like to add it in as a page rather than a link, because if you add it as a link and then you update your URL later, you update the link to something different, then the links are going to be broken in your main menu. But if you add it as a page and then later you update the URL, if you're linking to a page, it doesn't matter what the URL is, and the links are still going to work, even if you update the URL later. So where possible, I would add as a page. Now, the first link in my menu is just going to be home. If you'd like it to show in your header bar as capitals, then type it in capitals here. And then we're going to search for a page. Now, if you're using the system homepage, you would link to that one. but if you're using the standalone landing page, you would link to this one down here, which is the only published page that I have in this account. So home and save. Okay, then we're going to also link to the about. Now I don't have a standalone version of the about, so I'm going to link to the system version here. I'm going to link to contact. And let's just say you are a blogger and you do have some blogs published. I'm going to link to the blog. Okay, so that's enough links to get us started, but you can see how it's done. Similarly, down here, you've got a default footer menu. It doesn't currently have any links in it. We will come back and look at that a little bit later. Okay, so once we have got our 4 main menu pages in, if I now come over here to the home and refresh and check that little icon. Okay, so now I've got a drop down of these pages that I actually wanted to link to. So if I click on about, it's going to take me to the about page. Okay, so that is how you update your navigation, but let's go back to the landing page itself over here. Now, if you are not a fan of this drop down that we put in, okay, we added a little drop down menu. We gave it the word menu. You could write something else there. We've linked it to the main menu inside of your navigation here, okay? But if you decided that actually you don't really like that, you could take that away and we could add content and you could add a regular menu rather than a drop-down menu. And it's going to automatically bring up the main menu. As you can see it over there now. Now, what I'm going to do is just come down here because it's now sitting in the wrong order. Anytime you add a section of content, it's going to put it at the bottom. And I actually don't want it at the bottom, so we're just going to move it up like this. Okay, so now it's sitting there. Now, inside of that menu block, you can see that stretch block is switched on by default. If I uncheck that, everything sort of bunches up, okay? But I want it to be right aligned and I want it to be as far over there as I can. So if I stretch the block, you can see if I hover over the menu, it sort of takes up all of this empty space as well, okay? It just sort of creates that gap for us between the logo and the menu. Okay, so that's how you would swap out the drop down to just a regular menu. As for the logo itself, okay, you can have here that it's either text or image. Now, if you swap it to image, I'll just wait. Okay, now it's pulled through my logo from my site settings. If I go back over here and just show you, in case you haven't watched my module on site settings, you don't have to upload your logo into every page if you've put your logo into your site details. So when I click in here into my site details and scroll all the way down here, you can see I already put the logo in and also the little favicon that I want to show in the browser tab of any of my pages. Okay, so make sure you do take a minute to come into your site details, put the little favicon for the browser tabs, put the logo for the top of pages, and also put in your own brand colors, okay? Because that's going to make it much quicker to customize pages and things later on. So as long as you do have your logo file in there, we come back over here, you can see it's pulled it through, but the default logo image width is only 50 pixels wide, which is very small if you're working with a horizontal style of logo. So I've just made it 200 and it's in my brand colors, which is great. Okay, so, oops, so up here. Okay, so you do have the option to swap it from the text that we had to an image, and that's going to pull through your logo from your site details if you loaded it there. Otherwise, if for whatever reason you need to, you can override that with a different logo on this particular page. So that is your logo block. Now, in the last little video, we did look at this announcement bar. Every individual landing page gets its own announcement bar, which they call the hello bar. We click into that. You can write whatever you want in the top there. You can decide what color you want that text to be. The actual color of the announcement bar pulls through from your settings over here in your style guide from the primary color. So because I put my colors into my site settings, I can change it, the primary color, to something else. And I can click save. And we'll just wait a second. Okay, so if you want to update the announcement bar, do that inside of the style guide in the settings tab of the page. Okay, now once we click back into this header and into that hello bar, okay, so you can write whatever you would like in there, and you can decide if people do click on that announcement bar, where do you want it to go? So if you've got a sales page set up, you would link it to that particular sales page. If you want the little pop-up to come up, our little two-step pop-up, you could open the pop-up. So you can decide what you would like to do with that. Now that user menu is what I was speaking about before, that little avatar. If somebody's not logged in, they're not going to see that circle avatar. They're going to see whatever is in this field here. So we would want it to say log, oops, capitals, please. Log in, put it in capitals if you've got the rest of the menu in capitals, and you can decide there what text color you would like it to be. So if you're going to use a text color for your menu, I would change this text color to match, just so that it all looks nice and consistent. Okay, and then down here, we've got the call to action, which is this button here. What do you want to happen if people click on that call to action? Would you like it to go through to a sales page, landing page? Again, would you like the two-step pop-up to happen? Would you like it to go to a section on the page? Okay, so you can do whatever you want inside of those call to action buttons. So have a think about what is the main action that you would like people to take on this page. Now, one other thing that I wanted to cover in headers, once you've got your header set up, down here in the section settings, desktop layout, we can decide if the header should be hidden. Okay, and there's one more thing I wanted to chat to you about in the header bar, and that is down here inside of your section settings. Now, if I open that up, you see there is a checkbox there to hide the header. And there will be instances where you want to hide the header. Sales pages, freebie opt-in pages, webinar registration pages, those funnel pages where you really only want people to take one action and you don't want them clicking off to other areas. So in those instances, hide the header. If you are hiding it on desktop, make sure you also hide it on mobile. Okay, and if you want to check that you have made changes on desktop and on mobile, you can just use these little icons up here. So right now we're looking at the desktop view. If you want to look at the mobile view, just click that one, and you can see there's no header bar showing there at the top. That also makes a really good point. Okay, once you guys are done customizing the desktop view, make sure you do click the mobile view and go through and make sure that you have made all your updates on mobile. Because every now and again, there will be sections over here on the page where we have perhaps written mobile in the section name. You can rename your sections just there with the three little dots. But if we have written that the section is a mobile section, you're not actually going to see it when you're in the desktop view. And you might easily skip customizing it. Okay, so if you want to be able to see it, click here to mobile. And any mobile sections will show in the mobile view, and you can go through and make your edits, okay? Because the last thing you want to do is send your wonderful sales page or website out to the world and then, still have some of the template sections visible on mobile device, okay? So make sure you do check the mobile view when you are done. Now let me put put the header back on. that. Okay, so that probably gives you guys enough to work with inside of the header. When we come down here all the way to the bottom and you get to the footer. Okay, now some pages, again, if it's a main website page, chances are we've included the social icons for you to put your social channels in. Make sure you do update them to your own. Don't leave them as Kajabis. On funnel pages, though, opt-in pages, sales pages, my preference is not to have the social icons there because, again, I don't want people getting distracted and clicking off to other things. I just want them to take the action on the page. But once you do click into this footer section, you'll see social icons. If you don't want them showing for now, you can just hide them like this. Okay, I'll pop it back on. You've got a link list, so that will pull through by default your footer menu. But currently we don't actually have any links set up in our footer navigation. So we do need to do that. We'll do that in a minute. But once you have added links to your footer navigation, they will show there. Then we've got your copyright. So put your company name in there. The year will update itself automatically each year. And if you wanted to, you could also add your logo in there. If you have a second link list to add, you could do that as well. So let's just, for example, for some reason, you also wanted your main menu showing in the bottom there, as well as your footer links, you could. Now, everything can be reordered. It's like this. And also, if you scroll down to the desktop layout, there is the option there to change it from what we've got right now, that horizontal look, to a vertical layout. Once you add your footer links, they're going to show in there. So you might prefer that vertical stacking look rather than having it across the page. Okay, so that's just a couple of little things on the header and the footer. Next thing we will cover off is how to get some privacy policy links into that footer menu.